The afternoon sun reflects off the tinted windows of the premium motors showroom. Samuel adjusts his tie, dark blue silk, the same one he wore to his Harvard graduation. His Oxford shoes echo on the polished marble, each step measured and deliberate. The air conditioning hums at 16 degrees, but his hands remain dry. 30 luxury cars sleep in a row like sleeping predators. Mercedes, BMW, Aston Martin. Each one is worth more than an entire house in the neighborhood where he grew up. LED lighting dances on the chrome, creating golden reflections that seem to dance around him. Claudio Montenegro, the dealership's CEO, abruptly interrupts his conversation with a blonde customer. Gray hair slicked back, a $3,000 suit, a Rolex watch that flashes like a beacon of arrogance. His blue eyes scan the entire scene. A simple suit, good but not designer shoes, and skin that doesn't match the surroundings. Guided tours are by appointment only, sir. The pause before sir is calculated, loaded with question, as if the word were a forced courtesy. The blonde customer chuckles softly, a sound that cuts through the air-conditioned silence. Two employees stop typing, fingers poised over the keyboards like interrupted pianists. The security guard, a black man in a navy blue uniform, looks away. He knows this dance well. And you need pre-approved credit, Claudio adds, the words dripping like poisonous honey. Our vehicles start at $150,000. The phrase isn't information. It's a barrier. It's a code. It's the same polite tone your ancestors heard at the doors of hotels, restaurants, and clubs. The diplomacy of institutional racism, served on a silver platter. Samuel takes a deep breath. The scent of new leather mingles with the sudden memory of his father's workshop. Burnt oil, honest sweat, black hands that knew every screw in an engine. Son, when they treat you like you don't belong there, prove that the place didn't deserve you. Old Marcus's voice echoes like an ancient prayer. 20 years have passed since cancer took those wise hands, but the teaching remains alive. Samuel smiles. It's not the smile Claudio expects. Submission, apology, withdrawal. It's the smile that carries generations of silent resistance. The same one his great-grandmother wore when she was barred from the main entrance and still managed to get in, only to later buy the entire restaurant. That Mercedes S-Class over there. Samuel points to a silver sedan that shines like a mirror. Has a twin-turbo V12 engine, doesn't it? Technical knowledge escapes his lips like familiar music. Claudio blinks, disarmed for a second. How did you? My father always said that the sound of that engine was like a prayer. 470 horsepower whispering promises. The silence that follows is dense, heavy. Samuel walks to the car, runs his hand over the hood with the delicacy of someone caressing a beloved face. Perhaps what bothered him most was not Samuel's presence, but the naturalness with which he occupied that space. Samuel adjusts his shirt collar, a barely perceptible gesture that echoes throughout the store. The Egyptian cotton fabric brushes against his skin like a whisper of self-control. He doesn't flinch an inch. His fingers find the cuffs, mother-of-pearl buttons his mother hand-sewed when he passed the entrance exam. The Tucker dealership breathes in slow motion. The low hum of the air conditioning mingles with the ticking of a Cartier clock on the wall. Claudio crosses his arms, a posture of someone expecting an embarrassed retreat. The blonde customer peers over his sunglasses, free entertainment during his afternoon shopping spree. Samuel walks up to the silver Mercedes S-Class. Each step resonates like the beat of an ancient drum. His hands, palms pale, backs dark as unsweetened coffee, glide over the polished hood with almost religious reverence. Samuel's intimate touch in the car awakens something primal in the onlookers. Claudio coughs, an irritated sound meant to break the connection. The black security guard, James, clenches his fists in his pockets. He recognizes the theater, having been a supporting actor in this play dozens of times. Sir, please don't touch the vehicles. Claudio's voice cuts through the air like a blade. The paint is sensitive to fingerprints. The lie slips past his perfect white teeth. Samuel notices that the blonde client has just gotten out of the same car. The door still ajar, the seat adjusted to his height. No mention of fingerprints. A young employee, Melissa, watches from the front desk. Her brown eyes meet Samuel's for a split second, a flash of awkwardness that she quickly hides behind her computer screen. When Grandma always said, "When they treat you like a thief, walk like a king." Dona Esperanza's voice echoes from the depths of his memory. Those calloused hands that cleaned other people's houses so he could study in his own schools. Samuel remembers the first time he saw a car like that. He was 8 years old, his nose pressed against the window of a dealership in Alphaville. His father, Marcus, in a blue mechanic's uniform still smelling of burnt oil, held his small hand. "But one day you're going to walk in through the front door, my son, and you're not going to ask anyone for permission." 27 years later, the prophecy materializes in bitter tones of irony. Samuel lifts his face, his eyes meeting Claudio's without blinking. "This twin-turbo V12 engine develops 603 horsepower, correct?" His voice flows like aged whiskey, smooth and burning inside. Claudio hesitates. The precise technical information disarms his arrogance for a full 3 seconds. "My father used to say that knowing an engine is like knowing someone's heart. The beats never lie." The silence that followed weighed more heavily than all the unspoken words, and Claudio began to suspect that he had dangerously underestimated the man. The place transforms into a Roman arena. Every person present becomes a spectator of a spectacle no one asked for, but everyone consumes with silent hunger. The halogen overhead light casts dramatic shadows on Samuel's face, transforming him into the unwitting protagonist of a cruel theater. Richard and Patricia Whitman, a silver-haired couple with clothes that cost more than a minimum wage, whisper to each other near a red BMW convertible. She clutches her Hermes bag to her chest like a shield. He adjusts his tortoiseshell glasses, his eyes small and curious, like those of a bird of prey. Melissa, the 20-something receptionist, pretends to type reports that don't exist. Her fingers tremble over the keys, creating a nervous symphony of random clicks. Her blonde hair falls like a curtain over her face, but it can't hide the flush creeping up her neck. "It can't be a customer," Patricia whispers to her husband, her volume calculated so Samuel can hear every venomous syllable. "He must be a delivery man or something." Richard's laugh is low, guttural, a sound Samuel has heard in expensive restaurants, office building elevators, and meeting rooms where he was the only black face. It's the laugh of white complicity, of the shared certainty of superiority. James, the security guard, clenches his fists so tightly his joints creak. He knows every move of this macabre dance. He's been suspected. He's been ignored. He's been treated as a threat in the spaces he's supposed to protect. His jaw clenches, neck muscles bulging beneath his dark skin. 3 salespeople watch from the safe distance of their desks. Carlos, the youngest, moves his pen between his fingers like a nervous drumstick. He wants to say something, do something, but the words die in his throat before they can be born. Samuel feels the weight of the stairs like a hail of stones. Every whisper is a blade, every laugh a scar that opens. He straightens his shoulders, not for them, but for the memory of those who died, so he could be there. Every ancestor who bled for dignity whispers courage in his ear. Samuel turns to Melissa, his voice calm as a lake before a storm. "Ma'am, could you tell me which models have all-wheel drive? I need something reliable for the Chicago winter." The technical, specific question cuts through the air like a sword. Melissa swallows hard, her eyes bouncing between Samuel and Claudio like a nervous ping-pong ball. I need to consult my supervisor." "Of course," Samuel smiles, a smile that carries all the forced patience of generations. "You have all the time in the world." Have you ever felt that look that tries to diminish you, that measures your worth by the color of your skin before even knowing your name? If so, tell us in the comments. The smell of burning oil invades Samuel's nostrils like a ghost from the past. For a second, the luxurious surroundings dissolve. He's 8 years old again, his small hands splayed against the fogged-up window of a dealership in Alphaville. Hot breath draws circles of steam on the cold glass as his eyes devour a silver Mercedes identical to the one he's driving now. Marcus, his father, appears at his side like a protective shadow. His navy blue Johnson Motors uniform, his hands stained with grease, tells stories of resurrected engines. The smell of cheap soap mingles with motor oil. a working-class perfume that Samuel learned to recognize as pure love. The December sun of 1997 beats down on the boy's face, creating golden reflections in his curious eyes. Inside the store, salespeople in suits watch father and son with barely concealed suspicion, as if their proximity might contaminate the sterile environment. "Daddy, why do they keep looking like that?" Samuel's childish voice echoes in the present like a painful echo. Marcus adjusts his company cap, a gesture Samuel now recognizes as instinctive self-defense. The father looks at the salespeople through the glass, then at his son, then at his own hands, stained with honest labor. "Because they're afraid, son," the deep voice booms like distant thunder. "Afraid that we'll find out we're not so different after all." A salesman bangs on the window, making irritated gestures indicating that father and son should move away, as if they were wild birds pecking at forbidden seeds. Marcus doesn't move. He smiles at the man in the suit, a smile that carries all the dignity that money can't buy. Samuel closes his eyes in the present, feeling his father's calloused hand on his small shoulder again. That hand that repaired million-dollar engines during the day and helped with math homework at night. Fingers that bled paying for private school, that trembled signing the first bill for engineering school. "One day you'll walk in through the front door, my son, and you won't ask anyone for permission. You'll buy whatever you want, whenever you want. But never forget where you came from." The promise echoes like a fulfilled prophecy. Back in the present, Samuel opens his eyes. His voice cuts through the tense silence. "My father built engines for cars like these for 30 years. He said he knew every beat, every sigh of the metal." He pauses, looking directly at Claudio. "He could never afford one, but he taught me that respect isn't sold. It's earned. Some inheritances don't fit in wills. They live in the way you lift your chin when they try to bend you over." Claudio Montenegro takes 2 measured steps toward Samuel, his genuine leather Italian shoes echoing on the marble like a judge's gavel. His hands move behind his back, the posture of someone preparing to deliver a lesson. The Rolex on his left wrist gleams under the halogen light, reflecting golden rays that dance on the white walls. The air conditioning hums louder, as if trying to cool the dangerously rising temperature in the room. Patricia Whitman stops whispering, her mouth hanging open in morbid anticipation. Richard adjusts his glasses, preparing for the spectacle he considers inevitable. Samuel remains motionless beside the Mercedes, one hand still resting lightly on the silver hood. His fingers don't tremble. His breathing doesn't quicken. It's the calm that comes before the hurricane, or after surviving many of them. "You look, young man." The word "young man" drips from Claudio's lips like bitter honey, laden with condescension that cuts deeper than any direct insult. "I know you must be looking for work. We have a partnership with the building's cleaning company. I can put in a word for you." The smile that accompanies the offer is the cruelest weapon of all. Kind on the surface, poisonous at its core. It is the polite violence of upper-middle-class racism, wrapped in the wrapping paper of false generosity. James Starr, the security guard, clenches his fists hard enough that his knuckles crack. Melissa chokes on her own saliva, a dry cough that echoes like a gunshot in the tense silence. Carlos, the young salesman, drops the pen from his trembling hand. "Or maybe at the garage," Claudio continues, savoring each word like expensive wine. "He must know about mechanics, the way he touches cars." Samuel feels his father Marcus's blood running through his veins like a river of resistance. He remembers the calloused hands that taught him that dignity is not negotiable, that honest work is not humiliation. But he also knows there are times to retreat in order to better attack. When they offer you crumbs, son, be grateful. Then show them that you own the bakery. Grandmother Esperanza's voice echoes like a war prayer. Samuel looks up, an almost imperceptible smile playing at the corner of his lips. "Thank you for the offer, Mr. Montenegro, but I have a technical curiosity." He walks slowly to the rear of the Mercedes. "This model has a leak in the left rear air suspension. Have you noticed?" The silence that follows is deafening. Claudio pales. That specific piece of information wasn't something just anyone would know. "Like you?" "Experience," Samuel answers, his voice soft as black velvet. "Sometimes the greatest power is knowing exactly what they didn't expect you to know." The glass doors of the place open with a pneumatic whisper. Cutting through the tense silence like a sharp blade, Theodore Blackwell III hurries in, wearing a $4,000 Tom Ford suit, his gray hair perfectly combed even against the Chicago wind. His Italian leather briefcase swings in time with his firm steps, handmade shoes echoing authority on the marble. The executive stops at the entrance, blue eyes scanning the room until they find Samuel. His face lights up with a genuine smile, the first real smile the showroom has seen all afternoon. Claudio freezes mid-motion, arms still extended toward Samuel, mouth half open in a word that will never be completed. Cold sweat breaks out on his forehead like morning dew, tiny droplets reflecting the halogen light like diamonds of panic. Patricia and Richard Whitman look at each other, confusion replacing the earlier malice on their pale faces. Dr. Samuel Carter. Theodore walked straight toward the man who, seconds before, had been treated like an intruder. I thought you weren't due for the inspection until next week. The word doctor echoes through the store like a cannon shot. Melissa lets out an audible sigh. James, the security guard, allows himself a tiny smile, the first relief he's felt in months of working in this hostile environment. Claudio takes 2 involuntary steps back, as if punched in the stomach. His artificially tanned skin loses all color, turning gray like old paper. His hands tremble imperceptibly as he tries to process the turn of events. Carlos Yao, the young salesman, whispers to a colleague, "Inspection? What inspection?" But his voice is lost in the growing murmur of collective discomfort. Samuel feels a wave of ancient satisfaction run down his spine like a gentle electric current. It's not revenge, it's poetic justice served at the perfect moment. He remembers Uncle Benjamin's words, "The truth always comes at the right time." And when it does, it doesn't knock on the door, it knocks down the whole house. Every humiliation of the last 20 minutes becomes fuel for this moment. The smile that grows on his lips isn't one of malice, but of someone who always knew this moment would come. "Hi, Theodore," Samuel replies, his voice as calm as a lake on a summer morning. "I came earlier because I wanted to get to know the work environment better." He pauses carefully, his eyes scanning every face in the room before continuing. "It's always good to see how they treat customers when they think no one important is looking." Theodore frowns, looking from Samuel to Claudio. "Did something happen?" "Nothing that wasn't expected," Samuel replies, irony as smooth as black silk. Suddenly, Claudius discovered that the ground beneath his feet was not as solid as he had imagined, and that some earthquakes come silently. Samuel spins on his heels, his movement fluid like a skilled dancer, until he's facing Claudio. The distance between them is exactly 2 meters, enough space for each word to echo like a court sentence. The late afternoon light filters through the tinted windows, creating golden halos that transform Samuel into an almost mythical figure. Theodore watches from the sidelines, growing confusion etched on his mature face. His hands adjust his Italian silk tie, a nervous gesture that belies decades of executive experience. Melissa completely stops pretending to work, her pen suspended in midair like a conductor's wand. The place breathes anticipation. Everyone present feels like they're witnessing a moment that will be remembered, whether as a victory or a tragedy. The air conditioning hums softly, as if it, too, awaits the outcome. "Mr. Montenegro." Samuel's voice cuts through the silence like a samurai sword, precise and lethal. "I came here as a customer interested in purchasing your entire fleet. All 32 vehicles in this showroom." The words explode like grenades in the room. Patricia Whitman lets out an audible sigh. Richard removes his glasses, wiping the lenses with nervous, repetitive movements. But after the treatment I received," Samuel continues, each word heavy as lead, "I can no longer trust your service. The purchase will be made, just not with you." Claudio tries to speak, stutters, chokes on his own words. "Doctor, there was a misunderstanding." "There was no misunderstanding," Samuel interrupts, his voice sharp. "There was racism. And that has a name, a face, and consequences." He turns to Diana, the black cleaning lady who watches everything with wide eyes. "Ma'am, do you know anything about cars?" Diana blinks in surprise. My father was a mechanic, sir." Perfect. I'd like you to show me the technical details of each vehicle. I trust your eye more than his. Samuel feels the ancestral power coursing through his veins like a mighty river. It's not revenge, it's a redistribution of dignity. Every word he speaks echoes with the voices of those who came before, those who were silenced, those who dreamed of this moment without living to see it. When opportunity knocks, don't open the door, tear down the entire wall. The maternal grandfather's wisdom resonates like a war drum. Diana. Samuel extends his hand to the woman in the blue uniform. Could you start by explaining the specifications of the all-wheel drive system on that Audi over there? Diana hesitates, looks at Claudio, then at Samuel. Slowly, she removes her rubber gloves and walks toward the car. Her footsteps echo like a march of freedom. This model has ultra four-wheel drive, she begins, her voice gaining confidence with each word. A system that distributes torque as needed. Samuel smiles. Exactly. Continue. If you were in that situation, would you have made the same choice? Leave your opinion in the comments, because sometimes the greatest revolution is simply choosing who deserves our trust. Samuel pulls his iPhone from his inside jacket pocket, a fluid, calculated movement. The screen lights up with a blue light that reflects in his determined eyes. His fingers glide over the glass with surgical precision, no hesitation, no unnecessary haste. It's the gesture of someone who always knew this moment would come. Outside, the rumble of heavy engines echoes through the street. 3 black SUVs pull up in single file in front of the dealership, their tinted windows reflecting the setting sun like obsidian mirrors. Men and women in suits climb out of the vehicles carrying leather briefcases and tablets, a silent army of corporate efficiency. Claudio stares out the window, a bead of sweat running down his right temple like a salty tear of despair. His hands tremble as he adjusts the tie that suddenly feels too tight around his neck. Carter Holdings legal team, Samuel says into the phone, his voice sharp as a scalpel. Come in. Let's finalize the acquisition. Theodore Blackwell watches with growing understanding. His eyes widen as the puzzle pieces fall into place. Samuel isn't just an inspector. He's the owner of the company buying the entire dealership. Patricia and Richard Whitman look at each other in silent panic. The man they mocked, the man they treated as an intruder, has just revealed himself as the new owner of the place where they've been buying cars for 15 years. Diana, still clutching her rubber gloves, watches with teary eyes as Carlos, the young salesman, whispers to his colleague, "My God, he's going to be our boss." James, the security guard, allows himself a wide smile, the first genuine smile in months of working in that hostile environment. Samuel feels the weight of entire generations on his shoulders. This victory isn't just his. It belongs to every ancestor who was humiliated, every dream that was trampled, every door that was closed. He remembers his great-grandmother's words. When God wants to bless you, son, he doesn't send an angel. He sends an opportunity. The opportunity came disguised as humiliation. As always, the legal team enters like a silent tsunami. Samuel turns to Claudio, who tries to approach with desperate gestures of reconciliation. Dr. Samuel, I can explain. It was a misunderstanding. You're fired, Mr. Montenegro. Samuel replies with the calm of someone signing a routine document. Diana will be promoted to general manager. She understands both cars and dignity. He turns to the team. I want this space transformed into an automotive training center for young people from underprivileged communities. We start on Monday. Share this story with someone who needs a reminder that a person's worth is never measured by the color of their skin, because sometimes the greatest revenge is simply being who you were always meant to be. Samuel walks slowly toward Diana, who still holds the rubber gloves in her trembling hands like relics of a life just ended. He removes a gold badge from his inside jacket pocket, Carter Holdings, general manager, and extends it to her with the same reverence one might offer a crown. The setting sun filters through the windows, creating golden reflections that dance on the polished cars. The light bathes Diana's face, turning tears into liquid diamonds. Her dark hands, the same ones that cleaned those cars for 3 years, now tremble as they touch the symbol of her new reality. James Ose, the security guard, removes his cap from his head in a gesture of silent respect. Carlos, the young salesman, claps slowly, a timid applause that echoes like a prayer in the sacred silence of the moment. Claudio gathers his personal belongings into a cardboard box, a cruel irony of fate that transforms him into the stereotype he always feared being. His aristocratic hands, never known to work, now hold personal objects like a refugee from a lost war. Patricia and Richard Whitman rush out the back door, avoiding eye contact with anyone. The same couple who laughed at Samuel's presence now flee like rats from a sinking ship. Theodore observes everything with the expression of someone who finally understands the true dimensions of what he has witnessed. His blue eyes reflect a mixture of admiration and shame. Admiration for Samuel, shame for the world that allowed this to happen. Samuel feels the weight of each ancestor on his shoulders like a cloak of invisible royalty. He sees his great-grandmother, Esperanza's face in Diana's smile. He hears his father, Marcus's voice in the roar of the engines. He feels his uncle Benjamin's strength in his own erect posture. It's not enough to break the chains, son. You have to teach others to forge the keys. This isn't the end of the journey, it's the beginning of a legacy. Samuel places his hand on Diana's shoulder, a paternal gesture full of symbolism. Diana, I want you to know something. You're not taking this position out of charity or quotas. You're taking it because you've always been competent. The difference is that now you have the opportunity. Diana wipes her tears with the back of her hand. Dr. Samuel, I don't know how to thank you. No need to thank me, he replies, smiling. You need to open doors for those who come after you. That's the payment. Samuel walks toward the exit, passes through the same door where he was questioned, but now he pushes it open with a magnetic card bearing his own name. In his final glance back, he sees his reflection multiplied in the windshields of 32 cars. 32 images of a black man who refused to accept the place they tried to impose on him. If this story touched you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel and share it with anyone who needs to remember that our presence in any space is not a favor. It is a right earned with the blood, sweat, and dignity of entire generations.